guys, what's up? This is Helsing920 and it's time for the console war. And tonight, in episode 3, I will be discussing the Sony PlayStation 3. Yes, now, folks, yes, I do own a PS3, and it is rather fun. But, as always, with every system, there's both positives and negatives, and I'm going to try to explain them to the best of my abilities here. I'm going to let you guys make your own judgment on whether or not the system is actually worth purchasing. First of all, let's talk about the positives. I have to start with this. The system itself has free online service. Now, I know I got a lot of heat from people in my previous video because they were talking about how Xbox Live is so much better than the PSN, but I don't see it. All right. I really don't. I've played on both, and I still find the PSN's online to be just as good, and the only thing which makes it edge out and be just a little bit better is the fact that it's free. Alright? I don't have to pay an extra charge for the privilege of playing my games online. Alright? I can do that without any hassles. Okay? Also, another cool thing, and this also ties into the whole online thing, the downloadable exclusive games kick ass, alright? My personal favorite is a title called Pain, which if you guys have never heard of, you guys might want to go and check it out. The game is only $10, unless you want to buy all of the, add-ons and extra characters, at which point it might cost like a grand total of like $30, but it's still worth it. It's worth every penny, believe me. Pain is incredibly fun. It also has Pixel Junk Monsters, which is an okay game. It has Trash Panic, which is kind of fun. I mean, it has a lot of really cool online exclusive titles. Alright, so if anything, you have that. Plus, it also has PlayStation 1 games you can download, including games such as Final Fantasy VII, which is incredibly hard to actually get a fucking original PS1 version of because everyone has to jack the price up. So now you can get it for $10. Cool, alright? It also has a Blu-ray player, but that really only counts if you're into Blu-ray, you see, because to me, honestly, Blu-ray is a fucking waste, but that is a different rant for a different day. When it comes to the PlayStation 3's exclusives, a lot of them are fun, but they're also incredibly limited. In fact, the only one I can find that would even technically count as a fucking, like casual game or more of like a family game would be Little Big Planet, alright? Everything else is trying to be as dark and as gritty and as realistic as possible, and that is fun to a point, but video games are supposed to be kind of, escapist and fun, and you can't do that when everything is so fucking gritty that it's almost painful to look at, alright? So, the games are fun, but they're really only fun if you're really into what are known as hardcore games, okay? Also, the system, no matter what PS3 you buy, it is PlayStation 1 compatible, which means that if you actually do own one of those rare copies of Final Fantasy VII, you can play it on your PS3 without any problems and without any hassles, and that kicks ass. Now, let's talk about the negatives, shall we? First of all, the one that everybody knows, the price. Yes. The PlayStation 3, no matter what happens, no matter how many times it drops its price, it's always the most expensive system on the market today. And that seems rather sad because it has all of the same features, it has a lot of the same features and a lot of the same shit being offered as the Xbox 360. The only difference is that you're not paying for online. And it kind of shows because they'll actually tack that $50 onto the base purchase of the system. So I guess that kind of, like balances it out, sort of. All right, another real problem, and this is one that's always sort of bothered me, is this one is kind of a story. When the PlayStation 3 first came out, it was backwards compatible with both the PS1 and the PS2. In fact, it even had a slot for you to actually put in your PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 memory cards so that way you could actually put the data right onto the system. Nowadays, they don't do that. Nowadays, they actually not only removed the backwards compatibility for the PS2, but they also took out the slot which you could stick the memory card in, which also had a slot for SD cards, which means now the only way you can transfer data is with a USB flash drive or with a USB cable connected directly to your computer. And even that one's probably a little bit iffy. So, yes, they stopped making the system backwards compatible, which is incredibly stupid considering the fact that the other two systems are backwards compatible with the games from their previous generation. So why Sony would take out this feature, I don't fucking know. Another big negative is the lack of game variety. I actually mentioned that when I was talking about their fucking exclusives. But it's also true about the multi-platform games, and that's because of the current state of gaming. Everything has to be dark and gritty, and it keeps, colorful and fun games from coming out. And when they do come out, you don't normally hear a lot about them. By the way, folks, this game, Saints Row 2, is so much fun. I strongly recommend you pick it up. I don't care if it's on the PS3 or the 360. This thing is like 10 times more fun than any Grand Theft Auto game you'll ever play. Swear to God. Now, in the previous video I talked about the red ring of death. The PlayStation 3 has a similar problem. It is known as the yellow light of death. And this problem is not nearly as prevalent as the red ring, but it is still worth mentioning. What happens when you get the yellow light is your hard drive has just failed, which happens on anything that has a hard drive. There is a chance that your hard drive will fail, and the PlayStation 3 will tell you, and that is such a rare occurrence that it's only happened to maybe a few hundred PlayStation 3s worldwide. So it actually isn't a huge problem, but it is still something to look out for. Now, there's one final problem. This is the biggest one. This one is worse than the price. It is worse than it's worse than not being backwards compatible with the PS2. Updating. Oh dear Christ, updating. You see, when you get a PlayStation 3, your first week owning the system is not going to be, spent playing games. Very little of that time is going to go to playing games. A lot of times you're going to be updating your system software. You're going to be updating shit for the games themselves. You're going to be updating the PSN store. You're going to be updating everything under the fucking sun. And that wouldn't be a bad thing if Sony's download speed was faster. Folks, I actually timed it. I actually started the fucking update on my PS3 to actually get the newest software update. And I went onto my laptop. I went onto Sony's website. I actually downloaded the update and I put it on a flash drive. I had that thing all set, and all I had to do was just install it. And I looked at my television, and the PlayStation 3 was only up to about 4% updating. That is how slow the system's download speed is. Now, yes, you can go right onto Sony's website and you can get their, main software updates. But you can't get updates for the games, which really sucks, especially for the downloadable games, folks. I told you about pain. I have to warn you. When you first buy it, you're going to be spending the next few hours updating the game. Yes, you just bought it. You just downloaded the fucking thing. Now you have to update it. Because Sony doesn't bother to update the games on the PSN, which to me seems incredibly stupid.